welcome to First Chapter Fridays with Mrs. Valine here, your media specialist, coming from the fiction section up in our wonderful library here at Cesar Chavez with another brand spanking new book right out of the box. Just put it on Destiny Discover for your enjoyment. And I have for you a book that comes to us from Celia Perez, who also wrote The First Rule of Punk, which has been very, very popular and flying off the shelves here lately. It seems to be always checked out. Her books generally are about young girls who overcome some hardships or show some kind of oomph and grit. And that's the case with this book, Strange Birds by Celia Perez, a field guide to ruffling feathers. And in this case, we've got 4 young girls who are all very, very different, who really aren't friends per se, but through a common want, through a common fight that they want to take on, become good friends. In this story, we have Ophelia, who is a storyteller. And we also have Aster, who is the foodie. And we have Lane, who is the artist, who joins later on in the story. And I think the funniest one is Kat, who is the bird watcher. So these 4 friends, they get together or 4 young girls, they come together to fight for justice. They feel that their scouting troop is doing something that they've been doing for years and years since its inception, but they feel that it just isn't okay anymore. This tradition that they have just is not okay with the times, and they want to make a change. Hence the book, Strange Birds. From the inside cover, how do strangers become friends? Ophelia Castillo is searching for a story. While her friends leave their boring Florida town for summer camps and family vacations, she braces for zero excitement. Lane DeSanti would like her whole family to kick rocks, especially her parents, who sent her to live with her grandmother for the summer while they finalize their divorce. Aster Douglas has one summer to figure out how to be a kid. She's been homeschooled by her grandfather her whole life, and it's easier for her to make a souffle than a friend. Then we have Kat Garcia is hiding a big secret. She's in need of a new troop after she quits the Floras, her local scouts, without her mother knowing. When fate and longing bring the girls together, it isn't love at first sight, but they soon bond over a shared mission to get the Floras to ditch an outdated tradition. In their quest for justice, independence, and unforgettable summer, the girls form their own troop and find something they didn't know they needed: a sisterhood. Strange Birds, Chapter 1. The pencil Ophelia tapped against her reporter's notebook was part of a set, a last day of school gift from her favorite teacher, Mr. Neagley. She'd been given them to all the newspaper staffers who were moving on to middle school. Ophelia knew they were nice pencils, not generic 12 for $1 pencils. Each one was topped with a black eraser, and on its natural wood color was a quote by a man named Woody Guthrie. "All you can write is what you see." She had asked Mr. Neagley what the quote means, and Mr. Neagley had answered in the way teachers do. "What do you think it means?" Ophelia hoped it didn't mean that all you could write was literally what you saw. Woody Guthrie had obviously never lived in Sable Palms, Florida. What she saw outside the window of her mother's car on the first Monday morning of summer break was the same thing she saw every Monday morning. There was Doña Amalia from next door wheeling her overflowing blue recycle bin across her driveway. The wheels crunched over gravel as she struggled to drag it. Once at the curb, she opened the lid and pulled out the topmost object. Then she aimed it at Chuchu. Chuchu was a rooster that had shown up one day after a tropical storm battered their town. He moved into the tree in front of Doña Amelia's house and never left. Someone on their street, no one remembers who, named him Chuchu, and it stuck. Chuchu had the prettiest burnt orange feathers, but his handsomeness didn't outweigh his bad habits. The rooster pooped on cars when Doña Amalia had company parked out front. And if that wasn't bad enough, he crowed all day, like his internal alarm clock was out of whack, drawing the wrath not just out of Ophelia's neighbor, but the entire street. As a rinsed out can of Goya black beans flew through the air, it occurred to Ophelia that the only thing that really changed from week to week was the item Doña Amelia threw at the bird with all the strength her 70-something-year-old arm could muster. The can missed its mark, but startled the rooster, who flew from his perch, squawking angrily as he strutted down the street. Ophelia watched her mom make her way toward the car, purse hanging on her right shoulder, keys in hand. "Dale, Doña Amelia," Mrs. Castillo called out. "If you hit that bird, I'll make arroz con gallo for us." "Ha ha," Ophelia thought. She pulled off her glasses and wiped them on her t-shirt. She didn't need them to see that the two women were now laughing like it was the first time her mom had made that joke. She held up the pencil to her nose and inhaled the cedar scent. It smelled like an amazing story. It smelled like the truth. That, she realized, was all she could write. And that was what she could win the Corti Shoals Journalism Contest. 5 lucky 7th graders from around the country were picked each year to attend a summer journalism camp in New York City. Winning the contest not only meant being recognized for her writing, it meant going away without her parents and proving to them once and for all that she could be responsible and independent. But as she watched Doña Amelia push down the contents of a recycling bin, close the lid, and head back up her driveway, she saw her Corti Shoals dreams circling the drain. Ophelia sighed and looked at the blank page. "Let me remind you that you are not to write anything in your little notebook," Mrs. Castillo said, settling into the driver's seat and glancing in Ophelia's drawing. "Nothing you see, nothing you hear." "What kind of things might I see or hear that I shouldn't write about?" She wriggled her eyebrows at her mom. "Ni una palabra, Ophelia," Mrs. Castillo warned again. "None of your Nancy Drew business." "Nancy Drew is a sleuth," Ophelia said. "She looks for clues to solve mysteries. I'm a journalist. I look for stories to write." Mrs. Castillo said. "Both sound nosy to me." Ophelia thought about what her mother said. She knew that she just wanted to be a journalist when she learned about the muckrakers in social studies class. In the late 19th and early 20th century, journalists like Ida B. Wells, Nellie Bly, and Ida Tarbell exposed corruption. They noticed injustices and then, through their stories, forced the world to notice them. Miss Nigley said no one really used the term muckraker anymore, that today they call them investigative journalists. Still, Ophelia relished the idea of raking the muck off and exposing things, like raking the tomato sauce off the meatballs in the school cafeteria and exposing them for their texture vegetable protein balls they really were. Or like the topic of her very first story in the 2nd grade, an expose on the 3 wise men, after she caught her parents, not Los Reyes Magos, leaving gifts for her on January 6th. It made her wonder what else the adults in her life were hiding. Maybe she could be Nancy Drew and Ida B. Wells all in one. She certainly didn't want to be Lois Lane type of journalist who didn't even realize that Clark Kent was Superman wearing glasses. "But what am I supposed to do there all summer, Ma?" Ophelia asked, struggling to keep from whining. In books and movies, summer break meant spending your days outside looking for adventure. Her friends, Andrea was flying alone out to visit her cousins in California, and then she was going to sleepaway camp. Ophelia, on the other hand, got to go to work with her mom. She squirmed with embarrassment and wondered how many 12-year-olds had parents as overprotective as hers. She knew kids who were unsupervised after school and during the summer and went to the movies with friends, not with their parents. When I was a little girl in Cuba, we would make a whole game out of an empty box, Mrs. Castillo said proudly. You can help me if you need something to do. I'm going to be very busy with the preparations for the Florida Centennial. Just point me in the nearest box, please, Ophelia said with fake enthusiasm. Bueno, read. Be bored, Mrs. Castillo said. It's not the worst thing in the world. Ophelia struck the pencil in her mouth and bit down so hard its a thin, glossy coat over the word can cracked between her teeth. It was as if even the pencil had known she was doomed. Being bored, being stuck in an old, dusty house all summer, those were the absolute worst things in the world. Ophelia pressed the steely gray lead of her pencil against the page and wrote, Dead body found at DeSanti Mansion. Boredom sought for questioning by Ophelia Castillo. Chapter 1 of The Strange Birds. I hope you get to know these young girls and how very different they are. Maybe see a little bit of yourself in some of them. I'm sure you can kind of make a connection to some of the things that these young ladies are going through with being bored during the summer, being bored right now, not being able to go out with your friends, having overprotected parents. But each one of them, as you learn through this story, has something different to offer that maybe you'll make that connection. And like I said, they're not friends yet, but with one goal in mind, together they make a huge difference. And together they learn that even though you are very different from the people around you, you can still be friends. I hope you enjoyed Strange Birds. It's available for you on Destiny Discover. All you need to go is to the CCMS Media Center website, click on Destiny Discover, log in, look up Strange Birds. You can place it on hold and I will email you when it is ready to pick up. Hope you enjoyed this book. Happy weekend, everybody. Bye.